Okay, we're in. All right. Well, welcome everyone to Midterm Rentals. We've got Mike and Karen here from Deschutes Homebase. They are the experts in Central Oregon about everything to do with midterm rentals, because this is all they focus on, just midterm rentals. So really excited to have them here. And I know them because they're also neighbors of mine next to what used to be a short-term rental, which is now a long-term rental. I just skipped over the MTR because they told me that it wasn't the right location for a midterm rental. So yeah. So
we just didn't want to work with you, really.
Or my tenants, right? Yeah, so they are the experts. We've got an awesome presentation for everybody today, and I'm gonna just get us rolling on all the stuff. So I think everybody here knows us, Suzanne Moore, Sarah Willis. We're realtors here. This is our lovely office. We also have the Central Oregon Investor Network, which is to bring people together who want to learn about investments, share resources, and help each other make some passive income. That's my goal. And like these guys, they'll tell you, like, we have collectively worked our way out of W-2 jobs with investments and other things. And that's, I know, the goal for a lot of people. So yeah, Holly is nodding here too. So we know
we go way back, and in fact, we both had our jobs, and we were talking
I
about
know.
how do we go through it?
Yeah.
You jumped before I did. So.
I know. Yes. So both, like, all from the corporate world. So anyways, we are excited to have them as guest speakers today. And why is it? Oh man. Okay. This is gonna work. All right, so we're gonna just hand it over to you guys to talk about who you are, and then we'll dive right. Oh, actually, wait. Sorry, kidding. We're gonna do introductions because that's the other fun part. Is that we've done some introductions here in the office, but this is like the best part of what we do is just networking. Let's start with Nicole.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Nelson. I'm an executive coach in town, and I know Mike from some mutual business connections, and same thing actually over here. So Suzanne, so I was excited to come be a part of this today. Nice to meet you.
Aspiring investor.
That's right.
Yes.
Sorry, most importantly. And midterm is interesting to me because I live right near the hospital, and they've actually sold a few properties in our development. And I've always had it in the back of my head that would be really nice to have, especially having physicians or nurses or things like that. So that was particularly why I was interested.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm Tiffany. I own a business in Eugene and a business here in Bend. And I do have a duplex. It's a long-term rental in Albany.
Oh, nice.
And we had a short and a mid in Sun River, but now we're living in it because we just opened the business in Bend. So now I'm living in it.
Oh,
my
cool.
son Ashton is who brought me, so I'm excited.
Oh, you have the gym.
I own a gym.
What's your gym called? Oh, do you know each other? Oh, that's so fun. Okay. Burn Boot Camp.
Where's that at? It's right by WILLIS.
Oh, sweet.
So we're just down the road.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, we live in Three Rivers.
Okay.
So.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Street.
So do we all.
Winding Master.
We
Oh.
just built a house on Scop.
Okay.
Right behind 1,000 trees.
Next door to Suzanne.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, well, here we go.
I know. That's so
Love that.
fun.
I know, it's
Yeah.
easier to say Sun River.
I know.
People know it's Rivers.
Yeah.
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 Awesome.
That's awesome. Well, I'm Ashton. I don't live here, but I'm aspiring to someday.
Yay.
But yeah, so I have a long-term rental in Spokane, Washington, and then I have two partners on a couple boutique hotels over on the East Coast. And we've actually done a little bit of midterm rental, meant to be short-term rental, and then we found out it wasn't working, so we went to midterm, and it's working out a lot better. But I'm aspiring to acquire some midterms here. So
Yeah. Great.
yeah.
So what I'm going to do, I always offer this to everybody in the meetup, is to share contact information, whatever you feel comfortable sharing with people, whether it's website, phone number, Instagram, social handles. So for the folks in the room here, if you want to get us your info, we'll have you just write it down and I'll put it in the chat. And then at the end of this, we'll post the chat and the video recording in our private Facebook page. We'll make sure that everyone that is here is invited if you're not already on there. And then same to everyone on the call too. If you want to drop your info in the chat for everybody. And, you know, this is about networking as much as it is about learning about a particular topic. So, let's just hop on over to the folks on the call. I'm going to go in alphabetical order. So we'll start with Chris Watkins. Welcome. Good to see you again.
Yeah, hey y'all. My name is Chris Watkins. I am in Eugene, actually, lender, investor, long-term, short-term rentals here in town, one in Washington, looking to expand into Central Oregon soon. But yeah, here to learn a little bit more about the midterm space.
Excellent. Thanks for joining.
Mhm.
All right, Eric Sanders. Unknown.
Hey everybody, my name's Eric. I've been working with Suzanne and Sarah for, I guess, over a year now. I'm in the short-term rental space for the most part. They helped me find vacation rental here just in Central Oregon. For my day job, I also work in vacation rental management, and then also manage a few long-term rentals for some friends and family. So really excited to kind of learn more about the medium-term space. We have 2 rentals that we use as a medium-term rental currently for relocation and insurance stays, and that's been going super well. So would love to learn how to scale that up and network with you all.
Thanks for joining, Eric. All right, Heather, welcome. Good to see you again.
Hey, I'm actually driving right now.
Okay.
But I'll do my best really quick here. So I did have a midterm rental in Portland, and I'm in Roseburg currently, and I really want to get some midterm rentals going down here. And I think it's a great space for it. And since I've got about 4 years experience with it, I feel pretty comfortable. I'm also, interested in the possibility of getting something going over in Central Oregon as well. So I'm just keeping my eyes open for that. I did a big gut flip in Portland last year, and I'm still looking to do something like that. But what I really feel like I understand and appreciate is the midterm rental. And the Roseburg area has a lot of medical and a huge VA. There's not enough housing at all down here, so I think it's a great market for it. So, but I want to learn more. Like, I don't know everything, so I just want to glean everything I can from what other people know as well in the space.
Good. Well, you will learn a lot today.
Awesome.
Thank you for joining.
Thank
All right,
you.
Holly. Yeah, on to Holly.
Hi, I'm Holly Lyons, and I'm just now getting back into this. I was offline for a while. We had a family emergency that took me a different direction for a while. So I'm kind of jumping back in and still an aspiring investor. I also have a side gig called Lion's Share AI Marketing, and where I leverage AI to create and manage social media marketing campaigns.
Also for investors, which is awesome. She was a guest speaker in, is that January or February? February, I think.
I don't know. It seems like a long time ago, but maybe it was
I
just
know,
February.
Well, thank you for joining us. And then we've got Karen. Welcome, Karen.
Hi, everyone. Karen Rugg. My partner and I are builders out of Sisters, Oregon. We are currently doing a flip in Deschutes River Woods that we actually purchased with the help of Suzanne and Sarah, so that was great. And then we also own land in downtown Sisters that we're in development for a boutique hotel. It's built out of hempcrete, so I'm actually meeting with the architect later on today to wrap up the plans and hopefully get them submitted for permit here in the next month or two. And then we'll be looking for financing and or investors over the next couple of months.
Excellent. Welcome. Can't wait to see how your flip is coming along.
Yeah, you guys need to get there pretty soon. It's awesome.
I know. All right, Cherie. Hopefully you're not mid-bite.
My mouth is all clean. I hope I don't finish my teeth. Hi, everyone. Good to see you again. I'm 3, and I live here in Bend. I am a Midwest slow flipper investor out there, and working on 2 right now. But I just got to tell you, this is the first that ever I came across. But I was buying a 2 package. It's going to be now 1 because this one of the properties actually has over $200,000 in Medicaid liens.
Oh,
So that is definitely dead in the water. That seller will never be able to sell that house because that seller bought it uninsured on a quit claim deed. So
mm,
really not yeah. So
that's why we do title work.
yeah, right, that's right. So anyway, it's always something fun and new, right? In the investing
Yeah.
world.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining. Cherie was
Yeah.
our guest speaker last month. Awesome. All right, Ty Kelly.
Hi, everybody. I have just been joining these for the past few months, relatively new, just been really loving a lot of the information I've been able to soak up here, and I am an aspiring real estate investor. Right now, I own a home here in Bend and looking to leverage some of the equity I have to keep growing my portfolio. So that's what
Awesome.
I'm doing.
Good. Welcome. Good to see you. Then we have mystery person. It says unknown, but I saw your face. You are listed as unknown. That's all I know. No? Okay. William Myers. You there? No? Okay. Oh, unknown, are you ready to talk? Oh, there you are. Hi.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. Bob Sanders, I'm Eric's dad.
Hi, Bob. Good to see you.
Yes. We're just
Welcome.
over in La Pine, scrambling between same-day turnovers, trying to get stuff done.
Oh, good. Nice. Well, I'm glad you're here.
So I have a midterm in Happy Valley that's been really productive. I'm surprised I just moved in a insurance stay, moved one out, moved one in, and their house was damaged in January, and they've been waiting all this time to get their claim in and get their contractor going. So it's been a real interesting time this year with insurance stays, and I wish I had more in Portland area.
Yeah. Yeah, those ones
I
are
have a
lucrative.
couple in Redmond, but I'm not sure there's a market there. I haven't had much luck with the medical furnish finder stuff because they really don't want to pay what insurance companies pay.
Yeah, that's true. And they'll be talking about that.
Yeah,
Well, thank
and the lady from Medford, my day job is working for an apartment developer, and we've got about 380 units coming online right by the shopping center shortly.
Nice. Excellent. Well, we're glad you're here, Bob. It's always good to see you.
Okay,
And then
thank you.
Yeah. And then Dave Budnick. Welcome.
Hi, folks. I'm not sure my mic is working. Looks like it is.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. Sorry, my computer's having a bad day today. It's great to be here. Good to see everyone again. I don't have any midterm rentals. In fact, don't even have any short-term rentals anymore. We've gone to long-term only, but we're in the midst of building a new project in a memory care mansion, 16 beds, 17 baths, 10,000 square feet. Going out to Redmond to walk some land that we're going to make an offer on this afternoon. So pretty excited this project's finally moving along, and just love to come to these events to soak up some extra knowledge around what everybody else is doing.
Excellent. Well, that's an exciting project. Please keep us posted on how that goes.
Will do.
Excellent. All right. And then thank you for joining us in person.
Yeah, I thought it was
We do
Right,
a
these
hybrid
virtual
model.
things, and so when I
Yeah.
was looking for it, I'm like, oh no, it's in person. So
Oh.
I started rushing off,
Oh,
and I guess
no.
I could have done
No,
both.
it's all
Oh well,
good.
I'm here.
Welcome.
Sorry I'm late. My name is Elizabeth. I go by the letter E, like the letter before F. It's not Eve, it's E, just plain old E.
Oh, nice.
And I have some long-term rentals, Sun River, Portland, California, Santa Barbara.
Oh,
And
nice.
the day my brand new renters at my house in Santa Barbara leave, but they just started renting, I'm interested in turning that into 1031 exchange.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very interested in Sun River, but I'm here to learn about more of the other parts of Central Oregon.
Yeah.
And and beyond Airbnb, the mid thing.
You got it. Nice. And then Chuck.
Oh,
Welcome. We're glad you're here.
thanks. I apologize. I lost the link.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry.
Yeah, also a landlord, have a number of long-term and short-term rentals, and one midterm 5-unit in Corvallis. So
Sweet.
I'm excited about it.
Excellent. All right. Okay, everyone, if you weren't here at the beginning and you want to put your info in the chat, please do so. And I will be putting, is this all okay to put in the chat? Okay, I'll be putting that in the chat so you all can talk to each other. And then I have to get my mouse over here. Okay, now over to you for reals.
You guys are all a lot of experts here. I think you guys might teach us a few things. So Mike, Karen Jenkins, so just a little about us. I mean, we owned rental homes in the Seattle area for a while. That was kind of our college savings plan. So as a kid went to college, we'd sell a house. So we have some background in just managing your own rentals. We only have one now left in Redmond that our son lives in. My background is in banking. I worked for First Interstate Wells Fargo for a while, and then I was a mortgage broker for boat loans. So I did boat loans for 25 years. So I just left my W-2 job a month and a half ago. So very excited to be down.
Congrats.
So originally we were going to move down here, and we were both going to quit our jobs and just figure it out because our kids were both gainfully employed. We're going to pour beer, see what happens. And my company didn't let me quit, which worked out good. I was able to milk that for a year and a half. So it worked out good. So Karen's background.
Accounting and project management. I worked, my degree was in accounting, and I worked for various accounting firms, private industry, et cetera. And then I ended up at the school district. Very common. You follow your kids and you end up at the school district. But I ended up at the district office, and I am doing a lot of project management, state testing coordinator, gifted testing, AP testing, just massive projects, gobs of details, which serves me well now.
Yeah. Excellent. And then, did you update your house picture? No.
No,
Okay.
we did. So this was from before. So we just moved into our new house in Three Rivers.
Only been about 3
3
weeks.
weeks. So,
Yeah.
so we bought property out there 7 years ago, and we've been trying to figure out how we're going to get here. And that's back when Suzanne and I were talking. I can't remember how we met, and both wanted to quit our jobs and get
She's
here.
been through 2 corporate jobs.
Yeah.
since we
Yeah.
first met you.
Yeah. I was at Adidas first and then Teva.
Yeah.
Sandal company.
So anyway, so that's been a long dream that's finally come to fruition, and slowly getting it organized. So if anybody wants to build some stuff in our house, let us know. So that's our 2 boys. Our oldest lives in Redmond. He's a school teacher in Redmond. Our youngest works for Costco Corporate and works at their corporate campus up in Issaquah, Washington.
Nice.
And our 2 dogs.
Yeah, they're so cute. Okay, the big question, what are midterm rentals?
So what we specialize is we never go less than 30 days. So it takes us out of the short-term rental permits and the wear and tear and the constant change of that. And we never go over 1 year, because once you go 1 day over that 1 year, that all those tenant landlords laws change in favor of the tenant. And we've all seen the horror stories in the news. So we have all of our owners are pretty much adamant. I mean, we had a couple of cases where tenants need to extend because their house wasn't done, and then the owners, well, I'm not going past a year, and we just hold firm to that. If we get another situation, we'll always ask the owner if they want to do it, we'll do it, but we make sure they understand the risk of that. Once you over a year, if they decide not to leave.
What it boils down to is the state of Oregon, not Portland, not
Multnomah County.
Eugene, Multnomah. And there's one city south somewhere. Anyway, no cause evictions under 1 year with 30 days notice, which means you can get a tenant out for any reason at any point under 1 year. 366 days, you can't. And not only is it really difficult to get them out, but you might have to pay for their moving fees. You might have to pay a whole bunch of relocation fees, all of that. I would say that is the number one reason we have people in the midterm market is they're afraid. Owners are afraid to have somebody in their house that becomes a squatter because not only that, they can say on a 366th day, they can say, I lost my job. I don't have any place else to go. And there's really not much you can do. You can start the process, but it can take months. I mean, months and months and months. And then the person's living rent free and you can't do much.
Yeah.
That right there is the number one reason people do midterm rentals.
So up to 30 days, a person is a guest. 30 days and beyond, they're a tenant.
Yeah.
So they're still under a lease and they're still considered a tenant, but they are less than a 1 year tenant.
Yep.
Okay. Just want to be clear about that.
What if you don't have a lease?
We always have
You
leases.
should have a lease.
And we have a lot of people that want to go month to month, and we don't allow that because if we're month to month, I can never know when I can market it for the next tenant. So we always have a beginning and end date. And we're willing to extend. If you give me more than 30 days notice, we can extend. We do an addendum to the lease. You know, we communicate all the time with our tenants and our owners, and we're a small company. You know, our goal is to have 30 homes within a couple of years, and we got there in a year. So now we're at that kind of point. We're trying to figure out what is the maximum number of homes we can deal with without hiring an employee. So if a tenant wants to extend, we typically ask if you give us 2 months notice, and then I just take the ad off and extend. So that's why we stay away from month to month, because I don't want to market it and have someone that says they're out on June 30th. I get so much July 1st. This guy says, oh, I want to extend. And now you can't because I rented it. So
Yeah.
just a lot of communication.
Yeah. Sheree, you have a question?
Yeah. So with the midterm, I mean, what if you do get squatters? I mean, is it very likely? I mean, it's pretty significant rent, right?
Yeah. So the type of tenants we attract are not people you typically expect to attract. And we'll kind of go through later what our tenants look like, but we've never had anything close to that. I don't expect we will. I mean, there's always that chance, knock on wood, but we'll kind of go through what our typical tenants look like, but they're pretty much professionals with good income, good credit. That
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, but is there even an eviction issue with the midterm?
Well, I mean,
Trying to
if we notice within 30 days and they have to get out, and if they don't get out, the law's on our side to make them get out. So.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
And then that same 30 days applies to the tenant. They can get out with 30 days notice too. So, we have a lot of tenants that will decide we don't want to leave Central Oregon, and they buy a home and they end up leaving for 30 days notice. So
That happens a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
They end up buying something.
And then Chuck, to your question, are you thinking if you had an Airbnb guest that stayed longer than 30 days and then you don't have a lease, is that more your question?
Yeah, my distinction is guest tenant, right?
Yeah.
So the tenants are wonderful, right? I don't need to tell you guys.
Yeah.
I mostly do nurses, so we'll orient around hospitals. So they're great, but I call them guests, and I list that explicitly in my agreement. And I call them an agreement, not a lease.
Oh, interesting.
But I don't know if that's I'm on the fringes of my knowledge here, and I'm a principal broker, so I don't know what I'm like. I defer to experts, and I probably don't need to tell you guys. You guys are extremely rare. Finding management in this space is next to impossible.
yeah, I think as far as I know, we're the only one in town that does just this. A lot of brokers will do long-term, short-term, midterm. A lot of them, they'll have 400 or 500 doors. We have 30.
Yeah.
And so that's what supported us, that relationship with our owners and our tenants. So, versus, your owner number, 413. Well, to us, your owner Johnson, and we can text you right now if we want to talk. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think my understanding of the Oregon landlord tenant law is after 30 days, someone is technically a tenant.
Okay.
So it would be in your best interest to have a lease agreement with them.
You recall that horror story a while back about a woman in California who was squatting in somebody's ADU and you couldn't get her out or whatever? That was an Airbnb tenant. And they just agreed that it was going to go on further, whatever. And then now she's a tenant and everything became in her favor. And that was the problem, is it just kept going. So after 30 days, I would certainly put another agreement in place, not just simply let it dangle.
And I have one other question. I don't know if we want to hold them to the end. How do you guys deal with credit checks? Because I know a lot of my nurses are like, hey, I'm in and out in 3 months. And if I do this with every one of you, I'm hitting my credit 4 times a year, and I really don't appreciate that.
So we do all our applications through Zillow, so we get a background check and a credit report. My understanding is Zillow pull is a soft pull, so it should not affect their credit score.
Yeah.
I don't know that to be true, but that's what Zillow tells us. So it shouldn't affect their credit report.
And his background is looking at credit
Yeah,
too, so we know who we're putting in a house.
Yeah, I mean, again, like management is key. I mostly work with agencies. I used to work directly with the nurses. Now I'll just call the agencies because they'll do the placement and they'll do the background check.
Yeah.
Well, with nurses too, we have asked for a copy of their contract.
Yeah, for sure, which is great, right?
Yeah.
That's like the employment part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I run full
And it shows
credit.
us how much they're getting paid too, so we can do the math and go, yep, they can afford it.
And it's great because then you get a corporate guarantee instead of an individual, which is
Right.
wonderful. So,
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the distinctions between short, middle, and long. It's kind of hard to see the green check marks, but those are the ones we're looking for here.
Yeah.
Look for the line with all the green check marks.
You want to go?
Oh, sure. So, midterm rental, well, look at for, permits to have a short-term rental in Bend. We're focused on just Bend. And, they're limited and you have to, apply and wait in line and, all that stuff. So short-term rentals need a permit and you also have to, there's a lot of taxes, business taxes and things like that you have to pay. Midterm rentals. So technically, midterm rentals are long-term rentals. All the laws that apply for long-term rentals apply for midterm rentals, with the one exception of under a year. And so that under a year is what changes everything, because there are a whole bunch of laws that if you are under a year, that work more in the owner's favor than in the tenant's favor. Not that tenants are evil, but there's been so many horror stories lately that that one under year no cause eviction is a big deal. So as you can see, long-term, no permits and taxes, you can just do the thing. Short-term rentals, you don't necessarily have a whole lot of stability. It's hit and miss. You never know for sure. This area is pretty popular area, so short-term rentals actually do fairly well in this area because it's such a popular place to come. But in terms of stability, you tend to see more stability with midterm and long-term. You can get a tenant in and you can count on the income for 4, 5, 6 months, up to a year. You can count on some steady income. The flexibility of a short-term rental is fantastic because if you want to use it, you can use it. Midterm's the same way. You just communicate with us. We have a lot of owners who say, okay, we're coming for the month of July every year. The rest of the year's yours. We want it for July. Great. We have some other owners who are retired and they say, just schedule it loosely. Just leave a 2-week gap in between every tenant and we'll come down then. So that flexibility angle for the owners is really big. Long-term rentals, you don't quite have that. When you get somebody in there, they're in.
He's doing repairs and things.
You got it. And that last one is the biggie. The no cause eviction is under 1 year with 30 days notice. You can get somebody out for any reason at all. You don't even need to give a reason. You can just say, we're done. And that's all you have to say.
Another big thing about short-term versus long or midterm is on Airbnb, you have no idea who's moving in your house. I mean, if they have a bad review or something, they're just going to create a new account. So you really don't know who's going to be there. Where we know everything about these people.
We know exactly what's in there.
Yeah.
And it's not bachelor parties. It's not, girls' weekends. And I go on girls' weekends myself, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We heard about you.
Yeah. Still last week.
All right. Yeah. So you talked about this a little bit, but maybe just go in a little more detail of like why people choose the midterm route.
Yeah. So I mean, the short term we talked a little bit about just knowing who's there, but also that even just cleaning your house all the time is not necessarily good for your house. And a lot of times, depending on where the property is, I mean, you're going to get probably a Thursday through Sunday or a Friday through Monday, and so you may get premium income for those days, but you're also sitting vacant 3-4 days a week over and over again. Where ours, we're booked in for whatever that time frame of that rent is, and our average stay is about 4 or 5 months We have a lot of people
I
that
think
want to
we
use it.
took up higher than that.
And
Right
we have a
now.
lot of people for a year right now, which is great. Yeah, I think, and you know, we go through when we take on a property, we go through and we have pictures taken that the owner owns those pictures. So if we send that to work, they're their pictures, they're beautiful pictures. And then what Karen gets to this afternoon is we have a new house coming on. So we'll do inventory. So we'll know how many forks, how many plates, what pictures, sheets, towels. So we'll know everything's in there. So when someone moves out, we can go through and do a quick check to make sure, you know, all the plates are missing or the artwork's missing. So that's we'll know what's in the house. So
Do you collect a deposit?
yes, we collect a security deposit equal to the month's rent. If there's a pet, we had $1,000, but we don't call it a pet deposit. We call it security deposit. We just add it because otherwise, if it's pet deposit, you can only use it for pet issues. So
Okay. Yeah. Big sigh on that one.
Yeah. After what she's talking about.
All right. Who are your owners?
So our owners are a couple of pairs. Some are just truly like we've had a couple older couples that just wanted to buy a rental house here, and that's what they did. They bought a house. We told them how to outfit it, and that's what it is. Some are family properties that maybe they're not using as much, and so they don't want to sell it in this market. They have their 2% interest rate. They don't want to sell. And then some are like Karen talked about. This is their vacation home, and they want to use it a few times a year. We try not to let them use it June through August because that's always the prime time, but sometimes that happens. So,
A lot of our owners right now bought their properties when the interest rates were super, super low. And so they literally can't afford to sell it.
Yeah.
They would be silly to sell it because they're paying next to nothing to own it. And then we also get the exchanges, you know, people that have got to do something with money somewhere and they figure, well, let's just do a vacation home here. We'll use it a few times a year and then we're good to go. I should have looked at what most of our owners are. I think most of our owners are probably semi-retired.
Yeah.
One spouse maybe still works remotely or something like that, but it's mostly semi-retireds, I think.
And we prefer owners that do not live
Yeah,
here.
we prefer owners that live somewhere else.
Because otherwise they're driving by and goes, I saw the garbage cans out. So actually, I think we only have one owner that lives here, right?
Yeah.
I think we only have one. And they're pretty much, they let us do our thing. But yeah, we
We
prefer not to have owners.
prefer
You hire us to do a job list or a job.
Yeah.
We'll send you a check once a month and everyone's happy. So
That's perfect. All right. And then the renter profile. This is interesting.
yeah, so we love to talk about nursing and all that stuff, that market. So we came down to that. We're going to be that's where especially there. We've almost have no nurses. We have one nurse that just moved in, but part of it is the COVID pay went away. And I think someone mentioned Furnished Finder, which is geared toward the medical field. So I get leads on there all the time, but you know, their budget is I can pay $1,200 a month. I can do $1,800 a month. I've basically taken almost all of our properties off of there just because I don't rent anything through there just because it's such low dollars. The nurses that we've rented have bounced through Zillow, and it's more of, in both cases, the other spouse has a remote job, so they just bounce around, follow the nurse around, and they can work their job anywhere. But true nurses, we only had one set. Three.
We had a doctor.
Yeah.
Also, you have to look at the type of home we're representing. You know, we only have 30 homes. So having things that are really small and affordable to nurses isn't profitable and affordable for us. We would rather have a home. And I'll talk about our bread and butter homes in a little bit here too.
All our homes fully furnished, owner pays all utilities. The biggest thing is having a high-speed Wi-Fi because almost all our tenants one or more work from home. Yeah, I mean, and like I said, we get a full profile, you know, credit, income, history. You know, I'll call if they're renters now, I'll talk to their current, their previous landlord. If they've owned a home, I can see their mortgage history. So we have a really good feel for who's coming in there, and they're all professionals, good income, good credit type people.
I think we talked. Yeah. Okay. This
Yes.
is interesting.
So
it's not nurses. No nurses on this
no
list.
nurses.
Nurses on there.
So we have digital nomads, and we kind of have two spectrums. We have the 20-something, 30-something that just want to bounce around. They both work remote typically, and they just go from cool city to cool city. They don't own a house. And then we have people our age, the nomads, and we have a couple of these people that we have one that actually is back for their second year, And they may have an RV or they may have a home somewhere and we want to be in Bend for at least 3 months every year. So we had a lot of those people, which is good. We get a lot of people that are either building a home and need a place to stay during the build process. And a lot of people that want to buy down here, but they don't know the area well enough, so they want to go land somewhere and figure out they don't even know if it's Crossing or Northeast or wherever. Someone talked about insurance. We've had a few of those people have flood, fire, whatever. We had a few of those days.
Something we don't have listed on there that we have several of right now are construction workers for the big builds going on up in like, Prineville and out there. We have several homes. One in, Redmond is the.
Yeah, we have three there. That was the first time we ever had a corporate lease. So that was something new to us.
Is it multiple people?
3 people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was nice they're willing to pay a little more. So that was a struggle for us because we don't know these tenants at all.
Yeah.
But it's a big, huge company, and they sent me their thing from HR saying that they've gone through the background check, they've gone through all these things. So far, not going with it.
And then I did a cold call on my own. I researched phone numbers. I tried to find the company that had hired this company, and I made my way through HR and cold called myself and said, "Have you hired this company to build stuff for you? And do you have a contract with them?" And they says, "Yes, they're legit. We have a contract with them through the end of 2024."
Okay.
So I was like, "Okay."
So we rented 3 houses.
We rented 3 houses all at once, and so it was a little nerve wracking because we'd never done a corporate lease like that. And you just meet a guy who hands me a card.
And this was all through advertising and Zillow?
Yeah, he reached out.
Yeah.
He found us on Zillow, and Karen showed him a house in Redmond. And then while they were talking about what they do, and he goes, "We might need more houses." So I went and tweaked up some rent prices. Instead of so that's been a unique thing, but so far it's been good. I mean, we've gone over and introduced ourselves to tenants because they still don't feel comfortable not knowing it's there. So a couple of them I've texted back and forth. One of them we don't have much relationship with, but turned by the house and everything seems to be fine. So
good. Okay.
They pay rent on time.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know, like, from our perspective too, we have folks moving here that are, want to try before they buy, or they are renovating a home and they need a place to live in and not have to move their stuff twice, which is the beauty of like a furnished midterm rental. Just
as well as our tenants can walk in, drop their luggage, go to the mountain, go on a mountain bike ride, hit the grocery store on the way home. That's all they need is groceries. They have everything in the house. They don't need anything.
Okay. Cool. All right. Moving on.
There's a question up there for you.
There is.
Walls,
So
minimal.
There you
go, right there. Everything is very light, very bright, actually rather minimalist. We find the homes that, the dining room's painted maroon, the living room's painted green, this room's painted beige, and they've got brown, heavy, overstuffed leather furniture. Those don't rent. People coming from out of town who want to check the place out or living here for months, that's the kind of place they want to live in right there. Light, bright, airy, minimalist. So when it comes to furnishing, just remember what you see right there. Light, bright, minimal.
It doesn't necessarily have to be new. I mean, like the one,
And it doesn't have to
house
be
that
high
this couple bought. I don't think they bought anything new. They got lucky. A neighbor was selling their home. They bought a lot of other stuff, but they did, bend up style and a couple consignment stores and furnished this whole house. We do.
And higher end furnishings don't necessarily command higher end rent.
That's important.
So, because these people, it's not their permanent home, and they know it's not their permanent home, so they don't care. They care a lot less about the furnishings.
We say the one place to spend money on is the mattress, because if people have a good night's sleep,
Mattress
the
and
mattress and
sheets.
sheets, that solves a lot of problems. So we tell all our owners, go to Costco, get 2 sets of sheets, pillowcases, and don't go cheap on a mattress. So I think that's it.
Okay. We're going back to landlord regulations. So we already kind of talked about this, but it's worth repeating.
Yeah, we are not.
Oh, yeah.
A consultant attorney. We can just tell you what our experience is. But like I said, essentially the rules for midterms are the same as the rules for long-term, with the exception of that 1 year no cause eviction. That's what changes the entire story.
And the big thing on a year, it's July 1st to June 30th. It's not
Oh.
July 1st, July 1st. If you do July 1 to July 1, you are now over 1 year. Everything has changed.
Yeah.
So and we have some of our owners that don't want to do that. Some of our owners want to be 2 weeks short of it. So we've done some stuff July 1st to June 15th, just to make sure.
Yeah, I started doing 11-month leases.
Yeah, we have some that prefer 11-month leases, because then you have that 1 month buffer when you can just say,
yeah,
nope, we're done, you have to leave, and the law's on my side.
Yeah. So I learned. Speaking of learning the hard way.
As a management company for us, communication, just so that there's no surprises anywhere. We are constantly in communication with our owners, constantly in communication with our tenants, particularly when it's starting to get to the end of things. We don't want there to be any surprises. Yeah, just lots of communication. Even if you are renting for under a year, you cannot raise and lower rent willy-nilly, even if it's constantly turning. Even if it turns with a tenant, you cannot raise rent willy-nilly. But so you can pick a rental rate and discount it and offer a discount so that when the discount runs out, the rate goes back up. But you can't say rent is this, and then when the next tenant turns, say, well, now it's this.
Right.
That's a long-term rule that actually does apply to midterms, but you can discount it. So what we do is say a home's renting for $3,500. September, October, November, it's a slower time, although people who are from here know that that's some of the best time to be here. We spend a lot of time telling people, no, this is really when you want to be here, is September and October. Anyway, so if a house is renting for $3,500, September, October comes around and it's coming available and we're not getting a whole lot of nibbles, we might offer a $500 discount. That's good through like the end of February. And then it just simply expires at the end of February, and then the rent goes back up to $3,500, and we haven't broken any laws.
We learned that the hard way. We had someone building a house and we did a lower rate to get them in there, and they thought they'd be there for 4 or 5 months. They were there for almost a year. So they had their nice little discounted rate through all spring and summer. So that's what we figured there's got to be a way around this. So, and that happened last fall. We just had houses that were not getting a lot of activity. And so we did these discounts for $200, $500, depending on what the house is. And they all booked up, and it just expired February 28th, March 1st, and went back to the regular rate. It was all on the lease. Everybody's all on the same page. So it worked out great.
Well, at what point can you raise the rent?
Well, there's a percentage. Does anybody know
The cap is
I
10%.
think it's 10.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure you can do that in the first year. I think that has to be after
Yeah,
the first year.
after the first year.
There's
And we're a little bit different because the house turns, so you're not raising the rate on that specific tenant. So
But when they leave, we still can't raise the rent, only 10%.
well, you can't do anything more than 10. Yeah.
Do you know if
Yeah.
you buy a house that was previously a rental, if you can only increase 10% above what that rate was, or when it changes?
Only if there's existing tenants.
Okay,
But
so
like,
it's a new
you know,
tenant.
if you
If
buy
there's
it
a
and
place.
it's vacant, you can raise the rent to whatever you want
Okay.
and just let the market determine if it's gonna fill.
and most of our tenants never see the house until the day they move in. I mean, it's all
Yeah.
based on, the great pictures we have, and then we do all our advertising through Zillow, and that spreads out to a couple other sites from there. So, I'll get a Zillow message or a phone call or an email, and then, we'll talk. I always want to talk on the phone because I want them to feel comfortable when they're going to send me money that they know I'm a real
Sure.
person.
Yeah.
So, because we started changing because we used to do leases. Let's say someone's moving August 1st, we'd sign a lease today, committing to August 1st, and then we learned through some of our junior education that if for some reason we can't deliver that house, fire, flood, we may be responsible for finding them a house. So now
You still
we
have to-
now do at a time we agree to a house, we do a deposit the whole house. So we collect the security deposit. We sign an agreement saying the lease will be X day to X day. They give us a non-refundable deposit at that time. And that basically we take it off the market. We're saving the house for you. When they move in, it becomes a refundable security deposit. If they bail on us, we can keep that money. That's not something we want to do. I mean, we had a tenant that was going to move in. She got cancer, can't move. We said, as long as we get it rented, we'll give your money back. We got it rented, we gave her all our money back. So we're not in the position or the desire to take people's money, but we also want to be able to take the house off the market and save it for them and protect both parties.
Yeah.
So
Sheree, do you have another question?
Yeah, I may have missed it because I was in a text conversation, family issue. But anyway, so my husband and I are kind of thinking, toying with the idea of doing our house midterm because we want to go back east for a few months so we can see our granddaughter more often. So we have a 4-bedroom home. 2 of the rooms are offices, and then we have downstairs guests and then our bedroom. So what's the best, what are people looking for in a midterm as far as number of bedrooms?
That's a good question.
Bulk of our tenants are a couple. We have very few houses with kids. So, Carol will talk a little bit about kind of her favorite house is a 3-bedroom house with 1 bedroom set up as an office. There are some cases where if you're in the right school district, you may have some kids in there if you're in the Northwest Crossing. We may get a September to June rent with some kids, but most of our tenants are a couple.
So would it be reasonable to like lock off 2 of our rooms, 1 an office and 1 our main bedroom, and having access to another bedroom and making the other one maybe another bed / office? Would that be?
So we always recommend to our owners to have some sort of owner's closet. Usually it's a closet. We have a few that are bedrooms. In that scenario, I would leave your primary bedroom available because someone wants the primary bedroom. They want to have their own bathroom in their room. But maybe take one of the other bedrooms and lock that up and put your personal stuff in there.
Okay. Yeah.
Having an office is pretty important. I would say every single one of our tenants right now, at least one person works remote, if not both. So an office is a must.
All right, let's talk about numbers. This is the fun stuff.
It's Karen's department.
All right, here we go.
I just do the sales part. She keeps me in line. We can't get that kind of rent.
So it varies wildly. It's all over the board. It depends on where the house is located, how new it is, the time of year. So it's all over the board in terms of what you can get for rent. I started there with what it costs to furnish it because people think, oh, I've got this home, I'm just going to start renting it, but they forget it needs to be furnished, and it has to be furnished well, not expensively, but well. It can cost like $15,000 if you are looking at Target, World Market, Wayfair, your neighbor's garage sale, that kind of stuff. But it can be significantly more if you're into Pottery Barn, room and board, or more high-end type furnishings, which might be important if it's the type of house. We have a house in Tethero. Well, obviously they're not going to be shopping at Target as much as they're going to be shopping at Pottery Barn kind of thing. So your furnishing should be appropriate to the house, but don't go overboard. Do not go overboard. It is not necessary to have everything be totally high end. It just needs to be nice. Places to spend money, like I said, mattresses and sheets. People will forgive a lot of ills if the bed is awesome. How many times have you stayed in Airbnb and the bed is fantastic and you don't care about anything else because the bed is amazing?
Right.
Well, it's true here too. Make sure you have good bed, good sheets, decent towels, and not ratty kitchen appliances. We have one place that I think she bought every single thing in the kitchen at Goodwill, and you can tell. And so as it turns, I replace things a little bit here and there so that things are slowly starting to upgrade. Remember, the owner pays utilities, and that also can vary wildly depending on the size of the house, if you've got irrigation, that sort of thing. I tell people $400 to $500 a month, and I think that is pretty reasonable. It could be less. You do not need cable, just Wi-Fi. I put up their EV question because that's something that we are actually kind of trying to work through ourselves right now. We have some tenants that come with an EV and they say, well, I have a converter and it's all fine. Yes, it's all fine, but now the owner is paying your gas. And so it's a little question that we're still trying to kind of work through and come up with some good terminology to stick in our ads. Because if you say all utilities included, we're going to have to put an asterisk on there and say, EV discussion separate. Whether we come up with just a little flat extra that you pay, because there is a spike in energy use when someone has an EV. That's an issue we got to think about. If they've got irrigation and need landscaping, that would be an extra charge that again, the owner pays everything. So our rent amount is all inclusive unless we work out something with the EV.
And ideally, no grass. If you have
Oh, yeah, we
grass,
love
you
that
have-
there's no
you have
grass.
you have a maintenance guy coming every week or every 2 weeks, so
Um,
we love no grass. And if
The-
there
the
is a little bit
xeriscape
of
guys
grass,
are wonderful.
we try and, it's up to you if you want to pay a landscaper, but you probably spend a lot less to xeriscape it and be done with it, and maybe not even have irrigation back there, so.
Yeah. So rents. Anywhere from $2,000 for an ADU somewhere up to 7,000 plus for a luxury home. And we have both ends of the spectrum. We don't have as many of the 2,000s and we don't have as many of the 7,000s. We have mostly in the $3,000 to $4,000 range. And location is big. People coming from out of town say, I have to be in Old Mill, I have to be in Northwest Crossing. And so we spend a lot of time educating people that, first of all, you can get from one side of Bend to the other in 15 minutes. So it's not that big of a deal. People who are coming from, Portland or Seattle and think they have to be in these neighborhoods, it's like, it's really not as big a deal as you think. And I'm going to save you $1,000 a month by living, on the east side. Many beautiful homes on the east side, really. And for some reason, people don't necessarily want to be on the east side when they don't know the area. So we spend time educating people. People who inquire on Zillow about one home, sometimes he'll steer them to another home and say, this is going to be a better fit. The cost is better for you, et cetera, et cetera. That's why I say it varies. I can't even really give you much more specifics than that.
And does that tend to work, or would you advise like a new buyer of theirs to go, hey, just go to Northwest Crossing?
The difference is, we have several homes Northwest Crossing and one in 10th Road. We definitely can rent those. It's just the people that are looking at $3,500 a month, much bigger pool.
Yeah.
Someone looking at $6,500 a month, the pool is much smaller. We'll always get them rented if they're nice houses. It just comes down to price.
Okay.
We have the house in 10th Road right now. It's actually $7,500, and I'm getting a ton of inquiries about it. So, but our houses that are at $3,000, $3,500, they basically have had no vacancies other than owner use.
And that's something to think about too, is you have to weigh vacancy versus a little bit less rent. Some people get stuck on, I have to get 3,500. Okay, your house is going to sit vacant for 6 weeks, and that 3,500, you will not recoup that the entire rest of the year because you let it sit vacant for 6 or 8 weeks.
So we can
If
go
you
to
let us rent it
33.
at 33, and then you got the whole year full, then you're ahead.
Yeah.
So we spend some time educating people and say, just quickly do the math on a napkin. It's really not that hard.
And then
Vacancy is evil.
Yeah. Have you done that math? Speaking of math on short versus long term, I mean, I know that you can't just permit a place, but if you had an owner that did have a short term rental permit,
We've had some people that had it, and if you look at the per night income, short term is dramatically higher.
sure.
But they're also not rented Tuesday through Thursday on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah.
So the overall income is in theory should be higher unless you have an SCR that's rented all the time. Just
So if you are perfect location, absolute perfect location, and you can walk absolutely everywhere in Bend, short-term rental might make you more money. It might. It just depends on what you want, what you're willing to put up with. Constant turning, constant cleaning. You think, okay, my house is clean all the time. That's wonderful, but constant cleaning is actually really hard on your house.
Yeah.
It's really hard on your house.
our house doesn't know that though.
It's too new.
Oh, it's too dusty.
So location is a big deal. Our typical, I call it our bread and butter house, is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath rambler. We have some townhomes, we have some bigger, we have some ADU types that are smaller, a couple little apartments. But the 3-bedroom setup with 2 bedrooms and an office, 2 or 2.5 bathrooms, those are the ones that we rent every day, all the time.
And then for staging in that office, a lot of times we'll say, go buy a yoga ball, buy a mirror that sits there, buy a couple hand weights. Because when people see it in the ad, they're like, oh, I can do my yoga, I can do some weights. They're never going
Never
to.
going to.
But they're visual when I get to bed, I
Yeah.
can start relaxing and do these things. So it
Yes.
looks great to have that kind of multi-purpose room with the desk and the little workout stuff.
Yeah.
So for our 30 homes, our average owner distribution per month is about 27 to 3,500. We have some that are higher and we have some that are lower because we do have a handful of homes that are up in the $6,000 or $7,000 range. Just a few of them. I actually did a little breakdown. And then we have a few that are less, but the majority are right there in that middle point of $3,000 to $4,000 a month in rent. Those are the ones that have literally zero vacancy. They're only vacant when the owner wants to use it. And we can back people right up to the beginnings of the ends. And I mean, there might be one day
one day in
vacancy.
between, because I heard you talk about same day turnaround. Those are a pain. So we have a couple of those. We're trying not to do those. Another thing for my balls, you have to have in the ads, consider small dogs. Everybody in Bend has a dog.
Right.
So we have a couple of homes that won't do dogs, and it definitely limits the people that will look at it.
Yeah.
And we put small dogs considered. For example, I had the Tethra house. Somebody had a 50-pound chocolate lab, and the owner said, "No, I don't want a 50-pound dog in my house." And so I said, only small dogs considered. But you have to have dogs considered. We have a couple of cats, which we don't advertise cats. We've had a few people ask about cats. I said, yeah, I'll do it. One's a hairless cat, so you didn't know about that. The people out there have hairless cats.
Do you have any that have high winter maintenance? Like, do people blow their own driveways, the renters, or do you have somebody?
In Bend, you have to
The
remove snow. You have to remove snow from your sidewalk.
tenant is responsible for snow removal.
Okay.
We don't have any properties that need to be plowed or anything like that. I mean, if you want to get your car out, go out and shovel.
Right.
Or park in the street.
We provide a shovel.
Yeah. Okay.
Bob, you have a question? No, we'll come back to you. Or Eric, do you know if Bob had a question?
Yeah, I think he did, but here I'll ping him. He might have stepped out for a second.
Okay. All right. Okay. As usual, we're gonna go over time. So if anyone has to leave right at 1 o'clock, we understand. But if you want to hang out, we'll be here.
Suzanne, I did have a question.
Yeah.
For the Tethero house, I had one under contract, Millhouse 8, and I had a hard time with the ownership. The management there wouldn't allow us to use the amenities. How did you do that with midterm?
Well, we're on a little bit of learning curve.
I can explain it a little bit. So the owner has to pay an amenities transfer fee to the tenant every time, and they pay $100 to do that. So it doesn't work for a short-term rental because you would be doing it all the time. But for a midterm rental, if you're doing it once, twice, maybe 4 times a year, like $400 for people to be able to use all the amenities that come with Tethero, like definitely worth it. So it certainly is doable, and we did do a lot of research on that with our client when they were buying there.
And that's
Okay.
something they can do.
Great,
Tenant
thanks.
too. $100 fee.
Another comment about pets. So on midterm and short term, a lot of people won't take cats because they think they're going to mark. I use a non-refundable pet fee of, I try to get $350 because I clean the carpet between every midterm guest. But for cats, we've had good luck with the feel away diffusers. If you put them in at least a day or two before they arrive and run it for the first 30 days, the cats feel right at home. And those are about $25 per diffuser. So I use that pet fee to put those in.
We'll have to learn what that is, because I don't know what that is. But we don't typically allow cats, but yeah, it's a good place that we do that. Something we should learn about.
Yeah, you can get them at a pet store. It's called Feelway, Feliway. And they're the hormone dispensers. Just plug them in the wall.
Okay.
Nice. All right, we're gonna go through a couple
Specifically about one
properties.
property. So this property that is a 3-bedroom rambler. 2 bedrooms with an office. It's got a fully fenced yard and no grass, and the owner can use it 1 month a year. It's in the North Orchard District, and it falls firmly in our little $3,000 to $4,000 range, which is where most of our houses are. I actually did a quick little rundown. We have right now today we have 3 homes with owners in them. We have 5 homes that rent for under $3,000 a month. We have 14 homes that rent for between $3,000 to $4,000, and 6 that are over $4,000. So that tells you that 3 to 4 range. It's what I call the bread and butter home. This home is a little bit on the lower end of that scale, but this home has near 0 vacancy. So there's something.
How many bedrooms is that one?
So 3 bedrooms with 1 bedroom is
An office.
set up as an office.
So there's the income that it's seen over the last 15 months, which averages out to $3,175 per month, and their expenses were about $10,000 over that same period. And I did a little breakdown of what all those expenses were too. The majority, obviously, is our property management fee, which was a little over $7,000 of that. They spent $1,200 for gardener because there is some landscaping and irrigation, weeding, yard cleanup, all that kind of stuff, and the owner pays this. They spend a little over $500 on a handyman, which is just for some basic repairs. You know, stuff does come up. If it's something that the tenant did, obviously we'll go to the tenant, but sometimes there's just wear and tear stuff that you just got to take care of. They've had the house cleaned several times at their expense because they've stayed there. They had a friend stay there, you know, so there's some of that. Miscellaneous supplies was $375, and that's just if you've got to replenish the soap, if you need to buy another towel, if you need some more sponges, whatever. And then they spent a little over $500 on improvements, whereas they added something that brings value to the house. And I think that was just a nice set of Adirondack chairs or something. Like I said, so this is a lower end of our $3,000 to $4,000 range, but there's the numbers.
That's the one feature property, right? And that's like pretty standard, you would say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, from a percentage standpoint, it's probably pretty standard. Obviously,
Okay.
numbers change depending on, you have a house in Northwest Crossing that we rent for $6,000 a month. It's going to be similar, just percentage difference in income and expenses. I see expenses probably won't change dramatically than our fee.
Right.
And it really does vary based on where the home is located. So, we have homes all over the city. Typically, the ones on the west side do better. I shouldn't say do better. Can command higher rents, but there's usually commensurate higher expenses as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't necessarily, as a straight investor, it may not always pencil out to have something there versus the east side.
I know someone mentioned Redmond earlier, so we had, for a while, we had all these inquiries about Redmond, and we're like, we don't know it. So we kind of shied away, and then we ended up taking on one that's, right by the high school there, and it's done well. We rented it for 8 months or whatever. And then we have one at Eagle Crest, and this is one that they've owned it for 30 years. Family used to use it. No one's using it. Mom kept going through phases. I want to rent it. I want to rent it. So the son got involved. And so we just had our first tenant there for a month, which is perfect because we had a year lease coming after them. So we had a little guinea pig.
We had a test tenant.
So that was nice, kind of work through all the things. So there is a market there, but Redmond's not a huge thing for us because people want to, if they're coming in for 3 or 4 months, they want to go to the breweries, they want to go to the river, they want to do this thing. So we probably wouldn't take any more up there, but there's a market. It's just not as much. The rents are lower, obviously.
The Redmond market's going to be more functional. People living there, people working on the permanent construction, whatever. The Bend market seems to be people who are a little more transient, coming through, building. Fewer people are building and buying in Redmond. It's happening there, and I think Redmond is prime for that. But there's more of it here. Okay, more of it here.
You had a question?
Are there any developments in Bend that you know of that don't allow midterm
Yes.
rentals?
Yes, we check CCNRs a lot. There's not very many that disallow 30, like anything what am I trying to say? Like 30
rentals
days
less than like
plus.
6 months or rentals less than 12 months.
So
There's
we've
very
seen
few.
It has to be
some.
minimum of 3 months or minimum of 6 months.
We have one neighborhood that they won't allow more than 15% of the homes to be rentals.
Oh,
And of
interesting.
course, I'm just finding this out now after we have a tenant in there because I kept asking about it. So we just sent me an email. So I'm like, okay. So you're probably gonna have to let them know. But if this 15% doesn't approve, we just signed a year lease with somebody that just moved in. So I said,
there's no
Robert,
way.
you're gonna have to figure something out here. So he's probably gonna want to say, let's just not tell him.
Yeah. Does Aubrey be, you know?
I don't know for sure, but we, you know, it
Aubrey
depend
Reed's
on
okay for
the
more than-
specific areas.
Just not less than 30 days, but
Yeah.
they're okay for.
So midterm rentals, to recap my mind, is treated similar to long-term, like as far as the city's concerned. The city doesn't have to be aware of or anything like that because it's more than 30 days. It's not short-term. Okay. It's just the CCNR that you have to be concerned about for the neighborhood, right?
Yes, exactly. Eric, you've had your hand up for a little bit.
Yeah, just a quick question, you guys. Have you noticed any increase in demand? And I'm only asking this because we kind of have for the relocation and kind of medium term stays. Have you seen any increase in demand for either unfurnished or furnished units? And what your advice is there? Because I know ALE and the relocation companies are leaning more, maybe not more, depending on the situation, asking if the place could be unfurnished or furnished, which leads me to my next question is, is it more advantageous to offer a medium-term rental that you could do both, where it's unfurnished unless they want it furnished, and you could rent furnishings for, $1,500 a month and capture a much higher monthly rate? Or do you think, per your recommendations, you just focus on furnished only?
So I have had the last 2 or 3 weeks a lot of people saying, "Can I rent this unfurnished?" And our answer is no, just because, especially because they only want to use the house as well, so don't want to be moving stuff in and out. So I don't know if it pencil if you had a house unfurnished and said, "Okay, I need to furnish it for this people for 3 months," how expensive that'd be. So we're sticking to our lane, so I can't answer exactly how we compare, but we will only do fully furnished.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work to furnish and then turn around and unfurnish.
So you have
It can only
storage.
be 2
Yeah.
months long.
Right.
That's a lot of
Aging
work.
companies cost $2,000 a month. For them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I agree with you.
Wow.
The only reason, and my dad can chime in here, in Happy Valley, we've seen a decent amount of interest in the $7,000 range, even for 3-bedroom townhomes, where, our all-in expense is around $3,000, and ALE and these relocation companies are saying they do the furniture renting for $1,300 a month. So there might be an opportunity to rent the furniture for maybe $2,000 a month, and you're still able to capture a few $1,000s on top of that, even with, setup, tear down, and just be able to capture a slightly wider range of guests looking for a medium-term stay. Certainly more work, more issues to coordinate. I was just wondering if you had seen an increased demand in unfurnished as well.
A little bit. But
Yeah, it sounds like they have a little bit.
Yeah.
Other questions? I know we're a little over, but not as over as we usually are. Well, for anyone on the call or in here, this is a QR code that goes right to your contact page, so they can reach out to you. And do you want to just talk quickly about what you charge for management so people know?
Yeah, so our fee is 15%, 15. Some people hear 50. And, and that's typically all we charge. We do have in our contract with ours a prep for rental charge of $200 a month. We
$200 upfront.
Upfront. We typically only charge that the first time because we'll do the inventory. We got to coordinate the pictures and figure out all the utilities and all that stuff. We don't usually charge it on every turn. I'm starting to think we should, but we kind of told ourselves they're not. One thing that difference about us is a lot of property management companies, like, for example, today we're going to go to 2 houses and take garbages in or out because tenants have moved out. And so a lot of companies will charge you $25, $50 every time we go to their house. We don't charge that. We just go do it. We take care of it. Winter time, we plug the vents, cover the hoses. So we try and be that 50% covers everything for the most part.
Nice. Good. 15%. Awesome. Well, thank you all. Oh, wait. Hey, hang on. Yes, Heather. Did you have a question?
Yes. Sorry, I just need to get my volume up. So how do you navigate, because I ran into an issue in the past, and I was annoyed by Zillow as far as them basically telling me how much my rental is worth. And I mean, how do you guys navigate that? That's a big piece because you keep mentioning Zillow, and I'm super curious as to that because there was also a point where I got good rent, but then the rent started going down in the area, and then Zillow trying to tell me what it's worth and whatever. How do you navigate that? Because, Zillow to me typically was only talking about unfurnished rentals, but I'm running a midterm and it's fully furnished and whatever, so it's valued higher. So I'm super curious. How do you deal with that? I mean,
I'll answer the first part, and Karen will give more detail. For
okay.
me, the market dictates it. If I put a house out there for 3,500 and nobody inquires, then I know we're too high. But Karen will dictate how we kind of figure out where we think we're price wise.
I spend a lot of time surfing the internet, just looking at what's available, how long it's been available. So when you're on Zillow, you can put in an additional filter, and I just put in the word furnished on that filter. And then so it only shows me what's listed in the market today that's fully furnished, just because I put the word furnished in my filters. I spend a lot of time there, just seeing what's available. And then I also dig a little deeper. How long has it been available? How many times have they dropped the price? How comparable is it in terms of location, in terms of size? How is it decorated? So I just spend a lot of time looking at what else is out there. Yes, we've never had Zillow try to tell us what rent should
There's
be.
always a rent estimate on there.
Yes, I look at those.
I
But
wouldn't
also
worry
you can
about that,
tweak.
honestly.
I don't really pay much attention to those.
not
Sometimes
relevant.
if I have an owner that's really pushing for something that's way higher than I think it should be, sometimes I'll put that out there just because it's like another reference point, even though for furnished, Zillow typically is low because it just lists unfurnished.
Right.
So I don't put too much weight on it, but unless I need it for support.
I've never had a potential tenant say, hey, Zillow says this is 3 and you're asking 35.
Yeah,
Never,
we've
ever come up.
never had that come up.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like I've done similar as far as just, seeing what the market bears and just doing my own research and that kind of thing. Are you familiar with Avail? I mean, have you used them at all or?
We haven't used them. We're a little bit old school, and we're a little bit, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And so what we got going is working.
Every one of our houses is booked through July, and really we only have 2 houses coming available in August. So for whatever reason, something's working and people are finding us. Sometimes too many people are finding us, which has been a good problem. So.
Oh, the best time to bring a house on the market is like April.
Okay.
September's the worst time.
Makes sense.
So it sounds like you only rent your houses fully to like one single person or one couple rather than taking and purchasing a big house and renting any of the rooms individually.
No, it's all single. It's usually a couple. It's usually just a couple. Once in a while there's a kids. We've never done separate individuals. I mean, unless they.
Well, your
a
Redmond
couple.
construction one, it sounds like.
But
yeah.
we've not done separate, rooms.
Mm-hmm.
If we were, I think I would do a separate lease for each room.
Yeah.
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 Do you have any houses in Sun River? Pardon? Any houses in Sun River?
So now that we live 5 minutes from Sun River, we live in Sun River,
That's right, you're in Three Rivers.
but I
All my
think
friends
So
live in there.
Sun River, people who come to Sun River typically come for 2 weeks.
Right.
Or they own a place, or they have a timeshare. I've looked to see what's available, and there's just not a whole lot available for midterm rent in Sun River. Everything is short term.
Sun River's
Sun
not
River,
open to outside companies.
yes, they're not open to outside management. It's not forbidden, but they try to steer people. And some of the newer developments, you have to use their management company. There's some
In order to access the amenities.
Yeah.
Yes, and
That's
I
strict
had a
in a
house
lot
there.
of places now.
We actually don't see a huge
I'd like to try sometime.
We'd like to try it, see if we could get in there, but I don't see things available in Sun River. I don't know if that means it's always rented. I don't think it means that it's always rented. I think it's the scenario doesn't fit. People go for a couple weeks and that's kind of it, or they live there.
Right. I don't know. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would work, but I think-
During COVID, I had like somebody for 3 months.
Yeah.
They were just trying to get away from the city.
Yeah. All right, I just want to wrap it up for everyone and then we can stay and ask questions. Just quickly, we are hosting a new event starting Tuesday in person here at this lovely office from 4 to 6 called Power Hour. We're going to be doing live phone calls to sellers and making deals. So if that's in your wheelhouse, let us know or just show up. It's free. Yes. It's free. We'll have something to drink. Probably. And we've got Landon Moore, who is not related to me. We share our same last name, but he's closed 65 sub-2 deals. For those who are familiar with that, it's basically taking advantage of the existing mortgages that are out there at 2, 3, 4% and wrapping them into a new contract. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But there's a way to do it and people do it all the time. So you can join us at Power Hour. Next month, we're going to be talking about creative financing with Landon Moore. So we'll dive into more, like you're looking at me like, how do you do that? He will answer your questions on July 18th from noon to 1. Yeah, so that's what's happening next. And we'll have that posted up on our Meetup and everyone can join. And yeah, feel free to stay. I just want to make sure that we get that. And then if there's questions, we can talk about any other questions. But thank you all for being here. Thank you for being a wealth of knowledge.
Stop.
Yeah, yeah.
I had a house on Curlew.
All right. All right. Bye, everyone.
But all my best friends live on Big River Drive.
Oh yeah.
I love that community.
Oh, I love the hammock. Nice, Cherie. That's awesome. You win for most creative place to hang out and literally hang out and listen to the meeting. Bye.
So when we're looking at